are thousands of meals, she said. And here's clothing and a good education. And here's your lanyard, I replied, which I made with a little help from a counselor. And that's from a poem called The Lanyard by Billy Collins. And in this poem, a child gives to a mother a lanyard that he made over the summer at a summer camp. And the mother goes throughout the poem saying, I gave you life, and I gave you food, and you gave me this lanyard. And to the kid, it makes them even. But of course, we know it doesn't make them even. But it's just a humorous poem about something that kids do every summer, which is making lanyards. And they usually bring these home to show their parents, or they give it to them as gifts. So I'm going to show you how to make one of these so that maybe you can give it to someone as a gift. So first, you want to make sure you have your lanyard rope. It can be many different colors: purplish, blue, green, clear color with sparkles in it, or glitter, pink, blue. And you know, they have all the colors you could probably think of. They have glow-in-the-dark colors, any type of color you could want. And so we're going to begin our first step, which is you want to take whichever color you're going to use. In this case, I'm going to use blue. You can either use two colors that are the same or two different colors. You can use a color of a favorite team, but I'm going to use blue and green for no specific reason. And so you take it, and you take the part that's already cut in your hand like this, and then you take the other end, bring it all the way to your shoulder, and then you cut it at an arm's length. So you're also going to need scissors. If you're doing this project with kids, maybe you should cut it for them because it's a little safer, or you can use safety scissors, however you want to do it. And then you just cut at your arm's length. Then you take your second color, which in this case, the second color is going to be green. You find the part that's already cut, hold it in your hand, also bring it to an arm's length, and then you cut it the same way. So both colors should kind of be the same length, but you know, you go how you want. It's not always going to be perfect. And then you can move on into your second step, which after you get your two colors, you want to put one color on top of the other. I'm going to put blue on top of the green. It doesn't really matter which color you put on top, as long as there is a color on top and a color on bottom. And so you want to make sure that they're kind of straight. And then either using a metal clip like this circular round metal clip that you usually see on keychains, or using this sort of straighter and narrower one. This is one that I like to use because it's the one I'm most familiar with. And that larger end is where your key or whatever you want to put in is going to go, and this smaller end is where you want to put your two lanyard strings. So I'm going to slip my two lanyard strings straight through it like that, and then you want to make sure that they're kind of coming off on both sides and that they're somewhat even. They don't have to be perfect, however you want to go about it. Remember, you can always go back and cut the strings later on when you get started on your lanyard. Just make sure that one color is on top and one's on bottom. In this case, I want the blue to be on top. And so when you turn it over to start your lanyard, the color that's on top will be on the bottom in that case. And so now, to segue into our third step, I'm going to kind of change the camera around so that you can see this a little better. Now in this step, you want to make spot can like that, and then you want to put your metal clip right in between them and close your spot cans. Then you want to kind of spread your two colors out. So I'm going to spread my blue out, make sure that the green is not going under my blue because I'm going to need that to be like that. So they'll kind of be diagonal to each other. And then you want to take your first blue and bring it over and under, and I bring it right between my index and my middle finger, making the first loop. Then you want to bring your second blue over and under between the pinky and the ring finger. So now you have your two loops. You kind of want them to be a little small and tight because it helps out make it easier. But if you can see, you got your two roller coaster loops like that. And then you want to take the first side of your green and bring it over one of the blues, one of the roller coasters, and then under one of the roller coasters. Or over one of the blues and under one of the blues. And then you take the other green and you do the same thing. Over one of the blues and under one of the blues. So now, using all your skill and technique, you're going to have to grab the sides and you're going to have to pull them together to make this sort of perfect square. Sorry I took it off camera, but it can be a little difficult to do this without being real close to you. And there you see it. You kind of pull them all together. And I'm going to show you how to do that pull again once we get done with this first one. And we call that starting the lanyard. After this, it gets much easier. So next, you can do your Spock hand again, like that. Put the metal clip back in it, and you just do the same thing. You repeat the first step. You go do your bunny ears or your roller coaster loops. Begin with the blue, straight across, never diagonal, and then you bring the first green straight across, again, never diagonal. Bring it through like that, and then you do the same thing with the second green. Bring it through like that. And you know, it could be complicated. It might take a while for you to learn it. It took me about a year to learn to start making lanyards on my own, but never give up. That's what we always tell the kids, never give up, because at first it gets frustrating, but it's worth it. Because once you get it done, it becomes very addictive. And it's a very good skill to learn because it helps to pass by time. And so then you pull them all. See how I'm pulling in different directions like that. And then you kind of have this perfect square. You can see that, this perfect square, and you have your lanyard starting off. And now I'm going to show you my somewhat finished lanyard, because a lanyard can never truly be finished if you don't want it to be. And you can see how I kept doing the same method that I showed you, and eventually I got all these little squares. And you want to always make sure that the strings are turned the same way, because if they're not turned the same way, it can create these funny little messed up loops and wiggles in your lanyard. And you always want to make sure that you pull it tight, so that way there's no lanyard string poking out. And see, I still have a bunch of string left, which means that I can keep working on this for however long I want to work on it. And that's the fun thing about lanyard making. You can work on it for a year, or for a month, or for a whole day. You know, once you really get into it, once you learn it, it really becomes easier to do. So those are the 3 steps. Remember, cut at an arm's length. You want to match them up together and bring them through. Make sure both sides are even, and then you can start, as we call it, starting your lanyard. You're doing your loops or your bunny ears and bringing one color over and under, then the other side over and under, and pulling it and making squares, and then you get your lanyard. And then maybe, just like the poem says, you can give it to someone for a gift, or maybe even give it to your mother for Mother's Day. And so that's lanyard making. I hope you continue to try it out. There are many videos that show multiple ways to make lanyards. Go look at one, try it out. It's a really fun skill to learn. Thank you.